How to learn anything so fast it feels like cheating. Yes, anything. And if that sounds like an exaggeration because you've always struggled to remember what you study, maybe the problem was never your intelligence. Maybe you've simply been learning the wrong way your entire life. To explain what I mean, let me tell you about Alfred. For a long time, Alfred genuinely believed there was something wrong with him. It was frustrating to watch his 10-year-old nephew spend a few hours watching programming videos and, just a few days later, already be creating his own little computer game. Meanwhile, Alfred spent countless hours studying. He filled notebooks with notes, bought online courses, watched lecture after lecture. Then the next day, it felt like his brain had hit the delete button. Most of the time, he could barely remember what he'd had for lunch, let alone an entire lesson. And do you know what the worst part was? He truly believed he was working hard, until he discovered that putting in effort and actually learning are not the same thing. His biggest mistake wasn't a lack of dedication. It was believing that spending hours consuming content meant he was learning. Maybe that's your mistake too. Because these days, it's incredibly easy to confuse information with knowledge. You watch one video, then another. You save 50 social media posts to look at later. You buy yet another online course because it's on sale. You highlight half the textbook with a yellow marker. And in the end, you still can't actually use what you've learned. It's like spending your entire Sunday watching cooking videos and then complaining on Monday that you still don't know how to cook. Watching isn't the same as doing. And here's the discovery that completely changed the way Alfred approached learning. Researchers at the University of Washington and Purdue University have shown that one of the most effective ways to learn isn't rereading the material over and over again. It's trying to recall it from memory. This technique is known as retrieval practice, and study after study has shown that it leads to much better long-term retention than simply reviewing the same information repeatedly. And there's more. Neuroscience research has found that when you only reread your notes or a textbook, your brain can create a false sense of mastery. You look at the information and think, I already know this. But recognizing something when it's right in front of you is completely different from being able to remember it on your own. That's where the trap lies. Think of your brain as a hiking trail through a forest. The more often you walk that trail by yourself, the clearer and easier it becomes to follow. Now imagine someone only shows you a picture of that trail every single day. Sure, you'd recognize the picture. But that doesn't mean you'd actually know how to find the trail on your own. That's exactly why your brain seems to let you down when you need that information the most. Another common mistake that sabotages learning is trying to study while constantly switching back and forth between your lesson and social media. You open your online class, reply to a text message, scroll through Instagram for a minute, watch a short video, go back to your PDF, answer another notification, and somehow convince yourself you're being productive. The problem is, your brain doesn't work that way. Research in cognitive psychology shows that every time you switch from one task to another, your brain has to spend extra energy refocusing. This is known as the switch cost. Instead of picking up exactly where it left off, your brain often needs several minutes to regain the same level of concentration. It's like trying to fill a bathtub while someone pulls the drain plug every 30 seconds. You keep pouring water in, but very little actually stays. So if you really want to learn faster, do your brain a favor. Put your phone on silent. Close your social media app. Remove distractions for a while. Your attention is the raw material your memory depends on. Without focus, even the best study techniques lose much of their effectiveness. Now that you understand this, let's get straight to the 3 neuroscience-based strategies that can genuinely speed up your learning. Pay close attention because each one builds on the previous one. Strategy 1. Active recall. Every time you finish studying a lesson, close your laptop or put your notes away and ask yourself one simple question. If someone asked me to explain this right now, could I? Then actually try to explain it out loud as if you were teaching another person. At first, it might be a complete disaster. You may completely freeze. Your mind might go blank. You may forget half of what you just studied. But that's exactly when real learning begins. Because those moments reveal the gaps in your understanding and show you exactly what still needs work. Every time your brain has to retrieve information on its own, it strengthens the neural pathways responsible for storing that memory. Think of it like working out a muscle. The harder the effort feels, the stronger that muscle becomes. Strategy 2. Spaced repetition. Centuries ago, a psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus made a fascinating discovery. He found that we forget a large portion of what we learn just a few days after studying if we don't review it. Today, this principle is known as the forgetting curve, and modern memory research continues to confirm it. It explains why you forget how to use a computer program after not opening it for several months, or why you study so hard for an exam only to feel like you've never seen the material before just a few weeks later. The problem isn't that you have a bad memory. The problem is that most people don't review information strategically. Instead of starting from scratch every time, review the material at increasing intervals. Review it today, then tomorrow, a few days later, then a week later, then a few weeks after that. It's like gently tapping your brain on the shoulder and saying, "Hey, this still matters." And your brain responds by strengthening that memory instead of letting it fade away. It's no coincidence that nearly every modern language learning app is built around this exact principle. Strategy 3. Teach what you learn. This one might surprise you, but it's often when you explain what you've learned to someone else, or even to an empty chair, that you truly realize how much you know and, more importantly, how much you still don't. This idea became famous thanks to the physicist Richard Feynman. He believed that if you can't explain a concept in simple terms that even a child could understand, then you probably don't understand it well enough yourself. Teaching forces your brain to organize information, to connect ideas, to fill in the missing pieces. It's like taking apart a jigsaw puzzle and putting it back together without looking at the picture on the box. Once I started combining these 3 strategies, studying stopped feeling like an exhausting marathon and finally began producing real results. Now, whenever I want to learn a new skill, I follow almost the exact same process. First, I try to remember the information without looking at my note. Then I review it at the right intervals. Finally, I explain it to someone else, or even to myself. The most interesting part is that none of these techniques require you to be smarter. They simply require a better method. The truth is, learning quickly has never been a gift reserved for geniuses. And it certainly doesn't require a photographic memory. It all comes down to understanding how the brain actually learns. While most people keep collecting courses they'll never finish, you now know that the secret isn't consuming more information. It's teaching your brain to use information the right way. So the next time you catch yourself thinking you have a bad memory or that you just weren't born with the talent to learn, remember this. The problem was never you. It was the method you were using. If this video changed the way you think about learning, share it with someone who's always saying, "I just can't remember anything." And while you're here, subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments, what's one skill you've always wanted to learn, and are now going to practice using these techniques. I'll see you in the next video with more psychology and neuroscience insights to help you learn, think, and grow.